If you're not hurting anybody, there are no rules. So if you're new here or new to my face, I'm Aradia. I've been a practicing witch for over 20 years, and I make a lot of videos over on TikTok. Some people kind of like them. You can go check them out. But one of the most common questions I get over on TikTok is how to start witchcraft, how to get into it. If you're interested, you know you want to practice, what is step number one? Which is a totally legit question because, well, if you don't know what you don't know, how do you fix it? I've answered the question a ton of times over on TikTok, and you can scroll through my catalog over there to find all the answers, but there's a lot more information than you can fit into 60 seconds, which is why we're here. So we're just going to go over my top tips for newbies in the order that I think you should do them in, and then expand a little bit on why I think you should be doing them. These tips and ideas have come from years of me practicing, years of me seeing other people get into it, and also working in a witchcraft store. Tip number one, self-reflection. Why do you want to be a witch? You're never going to know what to do or where to start unless you know what it is that draws you to the craft. Everybody practices differently. Witchcraft looks different for everybody. And like I like to tell people all the time, if you're not hurting anybody, then the only rules are the ones you make yourself. So if that's the case, take some time to sit down in some quiet self-reflection and really ask yourself, what is it that appeals to you about being a witch? What is it that you want to do? When you close your eyes and imagine yourself as a witch, practicing witchcraft, what does that look like? What are you doing? Where are you? Are you talking about it? Are you drawing cards? Are you playing with crystals? Are you casting grand ritual or just doing little bitty folk magic here and there? Are you in it for the aesthetic or are you in it for the practicality? Do you want to help other people or do you want to just use it as a tool for personal development? Once you know what interests you about witchcraft and spirituality and the path in general, then you can hone down where you're going to go, where you're going to start, and move on to the next steps. So once you've pinpointed what it is that draws you to witchcraft, pick one thing, one topic or theme or tool or practice that really appeals to you. And then you're going to do a deep dive on that thing. Typically, I'll direct people to the internet for this because pretty much everything that you can find in a book, you can find on the internet somewhere. Pretty much. Almost everything. But a lot of people can't buy books for whatever reason. They're in the broom closet, they're underage, they don't have any money, and I don't think that those things should be barriers to practicing what your heart and soul is telling you is your path. But you want to do this research to really expand your horizons and broaden your knowledge base on this one thing. You don't need to become an expert on this one thing, but you also don't want to overwhelm yourself because the wide world of witchcraft is filled with just so much stuff that you can do and practice and participate in, and you can very easily fall down a deep rabbit hole and get overwhelmed and go, you know what, I don't think this is for me. And it might be for you. You just need to approach it at a bit of a slower pace, which is okay, and take your time with it, which is okay. Spend some time with this one topic or idea. Think about it. Read books by different authors or websites by different authors, blogs, TikToks, YouTube channels. You get the drill. Get a variety of perspectives on this idea so that you can build your own perspective on this idea. Witchcraft is all about independent thought and personal development, and don't take someone else's word as gospel. You create your own gospel. There are things that you want to keep in mind when you're doing internet research on these topics. You need to look at it with a much more critical eye because there's no editors. People can put things up on the internet all day long and nobody is telling them what they can and cannot say for the most part. So you want to be careful that the information that you're taking is responsible and it is thought out and it is peer reviewed essentially. Is this a practice that just this one person does that they're saying is perfect for everybody, or do multiple people do this? Is there evidence, anecdotal stories that back up what they're doing and saying? This is going to naturally lead you into step number 3, which is make friends. Now, this may be hard for some people for a variety of reasons. Maybe you are scared to tell people that you're practicing witchcraft, or you can't tell people you're practicing witchcraft for whatever reason. Or maybe there's nobody in your area that practices witchcraft, and that's okay, because that's where we go back to the internet. I always suggest making friends in person first, because having those face-to-face, in-person conversations where you can just kind of sporadically, hey, let's go to this shop, or hey, let's drive down to there, or let's go to the park, or let's cast circle all of a sudden, Those experiences really build your connection to the energy in the craft. But it's not possible for everybody. So the internet is the next best thing. You can find private Facebook groups so that nobody can see it's a group that you're a member of. Watch TikTok creators and YouTube content without having to follow the creator or subscribe. Although you should absolutely follow the creator and subscribe if you can, if you feel comfortable doing it, because that helps support the content creation. Do that thing. Mailing lists, message boards, Reddit. You can find circles and study groups and just friends from these different places. All sorts of places will give you connections to other people who are on the path that you are, traveling along at the same speed, or maybe starting in the same place. And making friends is going to take you out of your echo chamber of one so that you can really broaden your horizons and your understanding of a lot of these concepts. Because remember, we are developing our own personal practice, not just parroting back what other people tell us. So those are my 3 tips where I suggest people start, but I have a couple other tips and tricks for you. Take your time with it. Absolutely. You do not have to be a master witch tomorrow. I've been practicing for a really long time, like more than half of my life, and I would not consider myself a master witch. I'm still learning new things every day, and that's part of the journey. Whether you are 15 or 50, you have time to take your time. So take your time. Really get to know the energy. Embrace the journey and really savor this path. This tip, I cannot stress enough, because I really don't think that anyone can have a successful magical or witchcraft practice without knowing this one thing. So pay attention. Practice your energy work. Now, what do I mean by energy work? A lot of people think about energy work in terms of healing, which, yes, is an aspect, but also just practice responding to and recognizing and working with energy. Because guess what witchcraft is? Guess. It's energy. That's all it is. Witchcraft is the application of our personal will via manipulation of the energy around us. And I know that sounds really complicated and wordy, but it's not if you break it down. Everything has energy. This labradorite has energy. It has a vibration. This selenite has a different vibration. And it's not just restricted to stones. This jar of herbs has a different vibration. Chalk has its own vibrational energy. Essential oils has its own vibrational energy. Hell, even this cheapo mood ring has its own vibrational energy. Energy is everywhere. It's in all things. And witchcraft is just tapping into that and subtly changing it, shifting it, sending it out to do your will. And if that's the case, energy work needs to be a tool in literally every witch's back pocket. You need to be able to sense the subtle vibrational differences between stones and herbs and tools so that you know the energy's there and you know it's working. If you don't think the spells you're casting are actually working because you can't feel them working, then what's the point in casting spells? Now, a couple addendum questions that people always ask me when they ask for newbie tips is, what if I'm in the broom closet still? Or what if I'm underage and my parents don't approve of it? So there are 2 separate questions. First of all, what if you're in the broom closet and you can't come out for whatever reason? There are ways to be subtle about your practice. You don't need to have tools or outward appearances of being a witch, because you can do everything in your mind with meditation and energy manipulation. Visualization and affirmation work are some of the most powerful tools that a witch can use, and that all happens up here. Witchcraft isn't capitalism, man. It's like a state of mind, you know? Yeah, I saw it too. I won't do that again. I'm sorry. But it's not wrong. Witchcraft is a state of mind. So you can do a lot of things without ever having any outward signs of being a witch. There are also incognito altars that you can build, or ways that you can pack things away and put it away when you're not using it. There are tons of loopholes if you're not out of the broom closet. Don't let that restrict you from your practice. Now, the second part of that question is a little bit trickier. What if you're underage and your family doesn't approve of what you're doing and you still live under their roof? In that case, you might not like my answer, because it's going to be a lot of, you might have to wait. But you don't have to wait 100%. You can still do a lot of the steps. Make friends who are witches, do research, learn, follow creators. There are plenty of ancillary spiritual ideas and techniques and practices that aren't strictly witchcraft feeling, but they are associated with the practice, and you can always do those first. And hey, maybe you just like the look of stones. Geology is really cool though, so, wrap that in and you might be able to pass it by the censors. There are other resources that you can bring to your family to get them to understand that witchcraft is not evil. It's not a bad practice. And as long as you're being smart and careful, you're not going to get in trouble with it. Hell, send them some of my videos and TikToks. I'll talk to them for you. Be open, honest, and communicative with your parents and your family. And that's a really good first step to show them that you're being responsible about this and you're thinking it through. As a parent myself, a lot of what they worry about is that it's a fad or that you're going to get hurt or in trouble. And if you can show them that that's not going to happen, sometimes parents will flip. Now, if they're super religious and you know they're not going to flip, again, you might need to wait until you're out of the house before you can start practicing. You can do your reading and your research now. And also, witchcraft is not a religion. It's a practice. It's a craft, which means you can apply it to a number of different religions. So you can reframe a lot of what you're doing within the confines of the religion that you're being raised in and still be practicing witchcraft right under their noses. Hell, communion, blood and body of Christ, is that not ritual? Not to mention that they talk about the resurrection, which is necromancy. Okay, now I'm getting really off topic and a little bit sacrilege, so let's, the point is, there are things that you can do to create that solid foundation now that will not upset or anger your family. And there are ways that you can talk to them and maybe change their minds a little bit about the practice. So there you have it. Those are my top tips for newbies who want to get into witchcraft about where they should start and how they should go about doing that. I would leave links to resources in the description. If you have any questions, you can post them in a comment. You can always reach out to me directly. I am Aradia Darling, pretty much everywhere on the web. I make videos on TikTok most days of the week. I'm on Instagram, although not frequently. And I also moderate a private community of witches on Facebook called Modern Day Magic. We are welcoming and open and share a lot of memes. So go check us out. Thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day. And until next time, keep making your own magic.